Hello, this is a tutorial on using the modular map asset to put together an initial piece of a map, what I would call a module, that we can use multiple of those, adding them to the modular map system in order to generate a randomly put together map. So let's get started. I'm going to look in the demo scene assets here. We're going to look at the prototype modules here, and I'll just pull in a straight corridor module. So this is just a super basic example of maybe making a section of your level. You can add obviously lights, you can add even details that you would want to be spawned with each one of the modules, but it just represents just a chunk of your map. So the first thing to notice about them, about the map modules, are that they have a box collider at the very root of the object. So this is a requirement for the modular map system to know the exact extents of your entire prefab. So you can put whatever you would want under it. Obviously everything inside of it is fine, but at the very root level you need to have at least one box collider or more that defines the extents of that, and that is used to make sure that the map does not run into each other, that we don't have modules running into each other. So that's really kind of the only requirement here when it comes to setup. And I'll just show two of the most basic modules here. So we have a turn. So here in this example, we've got two box colliders that define the extents of the map. Now those box colliders are removed when the map is generated. That's actually a setting, I believe, that you can put whether you want them to be removed or disabled. So I'm going to just create a new modular map system, and when we create a new module here, so this is just the initial setup. I'm going to take the straight module and put it on here, and I'm going to add another module for the turn module. So what that's going to do is that's going to add a map module tag to each one of those prefabs, and that's used to manage the connections between modules. So you can see that when you select one, it says select two to manage the connections. So really what we want to do with setting up the map is just to position the modules in a way that makes sense that they would be connected. So basically put their entrances and exits together. So when you select two of them, neither of them have any connections yet, or what I call junctions, or you can call them entrances. So when you do select them, it looks at the extents, it looks at those box colliders and determines the nearest point between the two. And it renders this little gizmo here. It's not modifying anything except for basically where you're going to create an entrance for both of the selected modules. So you can see here, because there are no junctions added to either module, that a new one will be created for each of them. So when I click create, and then if I just select one of them, we can see that it does create entrance for the one, and it created an entrance for the other one as well. So now the reason that this is black is because I added these without the actually instantiating them. So it's much easier to see if you add them and then instantiate them in. So anyway, you just to do the setup, you will just have the different positions that each module should be able to be connected, and then connect them to. So because I don't have an entrance over here for my turn, it thinks that I want to connect the straight exit, which is over here, with the only existing turn exit. But that's not the case. I want to create a new one for the turn. So I just create new, change that on the turn junction, and that moves the entrance indicator to the place where I'm actually wanting to connect it. So then when I click connect, it tells me that both of them are connected in these two junctions, and then I have two entrances on my turn junction, and I can switch between the two in this drop down here, and it will show me which one is selected, and it will tell me which linked modules, and as I add more, it will, this list will increase. So I'm going to go ahead and just flip the straight guy around, because I want it to be possible that the straight module be spawned in both orientations. And then I'm going to create a new one for the straight one in the same way that I just did. Click connect, and that is going to give me now two entrances which line up exactly as they should be with the two areas that are going to be entrances on the straight module. So obviously I don't only want straight modules to be able to connect to turns, I want the straight modules to also connect to other straight modules. So I can just duplicate the module and line it up with itself, select the other one, and because they already have their entrances, it detects that these are the two nearest entrances and it assumes that I want to connect them, which I do. So then I just need to, obviously it's kind of silly to do with straight, to do both orientations because it's not going to look any different, but just for reason's sake, we want them all to be able to spawn both ways. Oh. So this one just needs to flip. So we're also going to do that same thing for the turns. So I'm going to connect these up, and I'm going to duplicate this, and I want this one to be able to also connect with itself. So just briefly line these up. So if for some reason you connect them and say it's not quite on, and I do connect them there, then obviously it tells me that it's connected in these two modules. These two are connected. It will tell you. It'll draw a line between them to tell you that these two are connected. So every time you do, instead of clicking or instead of having a connect button, it has an update button. So if I wanted to fix that, then I would just put it where it should be, select them both, and click update, and it's going to just update the relative location between the two. Cool. So now I'm just going to line up the other way. So you can imagine this being a lot more meaningful with less simple shapes. Okay, that one's already connected. But we'll see in a minute how it does affect the way that the map is going to generate. Cool. So now I can just kind of overlook both junctions. So my turn junction 1, this entrance can either have a straight or it can connect in two different ways to the turn. A way to check that is you can just click these buttons and it will actually spawn in which junction was actually there. Clicking the X will actually delete the junction from being a part of that entrance or exit. It's a good way to preview what it's going to look like. So I'm going to just go back to the asset itself, and we'll look at how to generate the map. So obviously this can be done at runtime, but during editor time we can preview the map generation. We can also generate a map and then save that map as a resource, giving it a name. If we liked if we wanted to build a map within the editor and then save its exact setup, we can also load those maps at runtime using that resource. We'll just look at the generation here. The number of spans essentially is how large the map is going to be. It's going to find a random module between these here, and then it's going to spawn it, and then the number of spans indicates how many times it's going to search through all of that module's exits or entrances, and then spawn a random module that connects to it. So we'll just put in a 3 here, click generate, and already we see that it randomly chose, the first module was a straight one, and then it chose from there. So we can generate as many randoms as we want. So you can imagine if we had a really cool complex map, then this would be generating all kinds of cool permutations of that map. So that is the basic setup of connecting modules together. Navigation system is also supported, and all of this has an API and functions that you would set the map asset up here, and then using a reference to this, you can call a function like generate map and give it a number of spans, and it's going to do what we just looked at here. And then you can call a function called finalize map, which actually builds a nav mesh. By default, we'll build a nav mesh on it, and also spawn in details, which we'll get into another tutorial about being able to place, really connect modules together in the same way as we just did, but more of having detail modules instead. So you can see that's what these details are like modules. They're treated like modules, but they're placed within other modules, and between the details that are all connected in the same place, it will choose randomly from those. So that's really cool. We'll go over that again in another video. But yeah, that's the basic gist of putting them together, and I'll see you in the next video.